Welcome back to the LEC for Winter for week number 2. And it's day 1, but it's already heating up to a G2 Vitality game, our second last of the day. And this is how you do a Welsh accent.
No.
My name's Czajek, also known as Hysterics. I am with a Welshman, and I think he's pretty proud of that.
Physically upset me.
Would you like to go into draft now?
Stop, please.
It's really hard to do.
Especially when you do it wrong.
Yeah, well.
Draven and Renata going to be taken away from the G2 bot lane. I feel like, to no one's surprise, the Skarner going to be banned on red side as the go-to, with Vi going to be taken away from Lyncas. Now, last week we saw Lyncas with 2 Ivern games and a Vi game. I feel like Ivern isn't it. Maybe we just haven't seen the proper ingredients to best facilitate a fine dining cuisine that Ivern can provide.
Agreed.
But my instincts right now is that you can keep things simple. Maokai Sejuani in Europe seems to be the go-to.
There it is.
And lo and behold, we're going to see that prioritized here for Vitality.
You're very smart. Vedius gave me feedback in the break saying I didn't praise him enough. And now, Vedius, listen to this. I'm praising you. You're so incredibly talented
yes,
to say Maokai.
Because
yes. It's open and it's locked in.
Thanks for sharing that.
No worries. Now, how about you call out my Welsh accent and say it was a good attempt?
Let's talk about the next pick. Okay. Varus being available. Last week we saw Han Summer playing Kalista, Misfortune, and the Draven. Kalista is available, but the Varus that we were just talking about going to be the priority. I think the utility that it provides, along with the flexibility to go both the poke build and the on-hit build, just make a lot of sense. Skewmond doing a cheeky hover, very well known for his Nunu, but it's going to be Carzzy. You know, this is only setting us up more for the more exciting fearless draft that we're going to be experiencing in playoffs, where the best of 3s roll their way across. As Corki going to be locked in. Wow, I feel like we've seen these drafts
many times
before. Would it perhaps be an Alistar, maybe a Leona? Maybe they just want to lock in Sejuani right now for Skewmond. But to be fair, he typically plays something a little bit more aggressive. He could go for something like the Wukong once more. I did like his Wukong performance last week, even if it didn't result in a win.
I agree with everything you said, and I think the Sejuani makes the most sense, right, if we're getting jungle here, but Alistar for the counter, or at least the counter in lane. Now, let's see those junglers banned away. By the way, Cap's picture, 10 out of 10. No idea why I put that in, but it had to be for class and humor.
I think that top laners are now going to be banned on the side of G2. Makes the most sense given that you have the Cassandra. Remember that Maokai can be flexed to the top lane, but don't be surprised to see something like the Ambessa ban away from the side of G2.
Oh yeah. Outside of that, the Orianna starts us off.
Oh, okay. This is another option, right? You ban away the mid laners, and then you look to prioritize your mid laner on the next rotation, with Victor taking away Orianna. Maybe if they take away something like Akali, they could be thinking about Caps as a Zia.
Yep.
Last year when we saw that, he was a split-pushing menace on the champion. We'll have to wait and see what direction they go with the remaining bans. We're expecting jungle bans to come through from Vitality. Talia, flexible mid-lane ban that can be also played in the jungle.
I wonder if we get something like the Caps Akali taken away finally as well. That was one of the striving picks that we saw, and I think was the reason that G2 made it so far. And at least one of the scariest picks I've seen so far, one of the scariest Akalis, I should say, is with mid lane being the focus. Jack's also getting taken away here for Nako. And if you're not familiar, definitely one of his best champs.
You know, Aurora is something that was banned and hovered a lot in week 1, but has kind of fallen away in priority with both Victor and Orianna banned. Aurora could be an option here for G2, as Vitality had a similar read to what we did with the Azir taken away. The question is, what mid laner is G2 thinking about? They could just secure their jungler right now, wait for a mid laner to be locked in, and then give Caps the ability to respond.
Something that's not seen, but we've already got the Varus, so let's just hold. Brand jungle.
Okay.
I mean, globally, like, and especially in LPL, this isn't even seen in Game 4 or Game 5 of Fearless. Like, we got the Carthus before the Brand today.
I mean, it used to be a bit of a yikes special on G2 last year. Skewmond going to be picking up the reins as a very quick Jhin and Rumble come through for Vitality. I love this combo, in particular when it comes to sieging towers.
Yep.
And now there is, I mean, a very AP-heavy top side, giving a lot of value to Merc Treads, but team fight, poke, Vitality have a very strong front-to-back composition with a lot of utility, a lot of wombo combo potential, and just a lot of long-range damage.
The scaling added into the mix as well. Smolder's coming back in. when we've taken a lot of mid laners out, and especially the Corki matchup I've noticed today, and also noticed in other regions as well, the same thing. But Vitality, Vedius, I want to see those strong lanes, and I'm talking about top lane, because Nako running into Broken Blade. This Rumble has been one of the best options into Carzzy in the current meta, and they're setting up Nako for success, so guess we might see some lane swaps. It's coming, isn't it?
It is.
It's coming.
You know, Riot introduced the Noxus theme.
Yes.
Power, aggression, violence, and somehow
Deserted
pros
Summoner's
always find a way to ruin it. Lane swaps, scaling, not fighting, Smolder returning to competitive play is not my favorite.
40-minute games.
40-minute games. It means that G2 will always have that scaling avenue in their back pocket. But I will say their engage is somewhat limited. They have Alistar to start off a fight, sure, but he's going to be one of your primary front lines, and Carzzy could go in alongside him. And then you've got the Varus ultimate. But aside from that, it's a lot more follow-up from things like the brand. Ideally, you want a Varus ultimate in the midst of a team fight when the chaos has already started. Well, Vitality, Maokai ultimate, Rell engage. You can even use Rumble ultimate paired up with a Jhin ultimate. You've got the constant poke that's going to be coming out from Corki rockets. I feel like Vitality just have so much control around these neutral objectives. I'm curious to see how G2 navigate that.
And I love that point, because control around objectives and control using those long-range tools like Rumble ulti and Jhin is what gives Vitality a bit of an edge here in this game. The engage point important as we roll you into G2 versus Vitality, when G2 and VIT have both started. I'll never call them VIT again. 1 and 2. Now, Vedius, let's be critical to start the game off. I think it's pretty fair, because Labrov right now has not had a good start to the split, and I think it's fair when I say that Hilly is in the same boat.
Yeah, we started off the split with a not great start for either side. You can see that in terms of the deaths per game, Hilly, I mean, he had a very bad one, which does skew this quite a lot, because he had also a very good one in their win where he only died a single time. So I don't want you to be fully misled by that. But at the same time, it's important to recognize that I think that both support players had highs and lows from week one. We saw some of the best performances on them alongside some of the worst performances. And some of it for Labrov, my instincts say that being a part of G2 puts a lot of pressure on you, given how storied the organization is, and him getting that opportunity in their first game of the split, it's very understandable why you wouldn't be playing at your peak form. I imagine now that he's been able to get the first week out of the way, and they were able to get a win as well last week, I'm expecting a lot more from him this week. But these two support players are definitely who we're keeping our eyes on in this matchup, because Hylissang consistency is not something that he's always been known for, but people always recognize him for the great plays that he makes alongside some of the mistakes that we often find him making. And I think that people are really eager to see a more consistent Hilly, especially when paired up with so many rookies.
Because his risk with reward factor is always what you take into account to Hilly. Yes, he might die a lot, but what does he get for Vitality? It's been talked a lot, and you know, yes, he does create space. The meme is quite real. As bot lanes match each other, they're going to be going topside, so not really a lane swap. We're just swapping lanes here, as we are going to get the standardized Rumble lane, which I can only say for Vitality does feel like a good thing, especially when you see that jungle pathing from Lyncas as he's clearing towards vertical, might end up moving towards Rumble lane eventually.
Vitality, I think, very happy to have these standard lanes. Jhin offering a lot of power in the 2 vs 2, especially given that Alistar really can't offer that much, and the Rumble, you already highlighted it. Rumble had the power, a lot of power in lane, then it was taken away, and then they gave some of that power back. And I think since being given that power back, Rumble is still very terrifying when left in the isolated 1v1. And now this bot lane is also very isolated. The map split has come through. Skewmond forced a path on the bot side of the map, and it means that Hansama and Labrov are going to struggle in the 2 vs 2.
Yeah, I guess my point doesn't make sense. I was like, well, he is splitting the map towards the duo lane, and so the Rumble is going to be isolated, so I guess eventually he's going to be okay. Lyncas is coming back on my point and saying, forget the top side of my camps. He wants to defend bot as mid gets a little bit frisky. Ignore that for now. Lyncas and Skewmond going to see each other, and Skewmond just gets some damage down. Passive of the Blaze comes out, gets hit for a little bit, takes his own red though, and he's taking control of his Crux too.
Great response from Lyncas. I mean, a surprising play, but the reason why I think that he's allowed to do this is because of the potential collapse from Czajek. You'll notice that he has that priority in mid, trading so aggressively with Caps, allows him to collapse first. He didn't need him in this exchange because he could just walk in and steal away the red buff, but G2 is wary of overstaying their welcome because of the risk of this Corki collapsing. And now there's the entire top side for Lyncas to be able to clear out. And Skewmond is going to be in a very awkward spot in this early game.
True. And already you can see, even though Broken Blade gets a good trade back.
Raptors respawn. Look, the pings have come down.
Okay.
I wonder if Lyncas is actually looking to try and contest it. It looks like nice collapse from the G2 bot lane as well, alleviating some of that pressure, recognizing that with the mid-prio that they still have, there's a real risk of Lyncas being able to move into the enemy jungle. But the bot lane comes through, they allow the Scuttle Crab to be handed over, and it means that no double scuttle.
Trying to burn a flash.
I stand corrected, double scuttle for Skewmond.
I know, I love you're looking at top, and I'm like, I'm looking at this 1v1 between top laners. Overheat there, so close to the turret, but Nako doesn't take a shot. He overheats, so it wasn't while Flame Spitter was out. It'll just be Electro Harpoon in the endangered zone once again. Endangered, danger zone, you know, same thing. But I know, Vedi, you were looking up at this side because no smite for Lyncas in that small trade top. Skewmond gets it, wards a place down, and with that G2 movement you talked about, he's able to go back and clear his topside jungle. Skewmond getting his back in now too.
Yeah, I mean, Skewmond ultimately hasn't lost too much. You'll notice that he is behind in experience because those topside camps are going to be cleared. But Lyncas needs to get a base off because those bot camps aren't going to respawn for a while. But Skewmond, because he was able to get both Scuttle Crabs, is still staying very relevant in the game, even though he is a camp behind. Ultimately, not the worst position to be in, as G2 also in the laning phase, considering how much pressure was put in the mid lane from Czajek constantly training with caps, he's dead even in farm. The bot lane 2 versus 2, Hylissang has been able to maintain farm incredibly well as well. So what was a point of concern for me for G2 in this early laning phase, that G2 have just brushed off and have been very comfortable.
Yeah, they really have. I mean, again, Labrov with some good trades up in top 2 as Carzzy gets a push in. I want to note as well, if we were ever worried about Skewmond and his speed, he will catch up. Varan's still incredibly fast in the jungle. Maybe not as fast as when he kind of hit his peak, but still as he moves down towards Dragon and starts that one off, it won't take too long. Is it Dragon or is it going to be Scuttle? Not sure at the moment. Find out shortly. It does look like it is Dragon. So he's just pulled it out, and Skewmond has enough mana to go through a couple of rotations here with the Blaze.
Could be an easy pickup. Lyncas likely going to be trading that for the grubs on the top side of the map. Ping's coming through, tracking caps as he moves out of the mid lane to drop a ward on the... as he looks to drop a ward, there it is.
Yep.
To the grubs, they're going to spot that one out, and wisely G2 is not going to look to contest. Earlier, Lyncas also pinged out. He's on Dragon, he's going to be moving towards my grubs, and you can see the ping on your minimap right now. Lyncas with good tracking of the enemy jungler to highlight to Nako, hey man, you could be in some danger. Please be cautious of the fact that you could get dived. He has the Rumble ultimate to clear out the wave.
Sure.
And the good news for him is Skewmond doesn't have... I mean, he's probably got enough mana, but I'd be surprised if they tried to force this dive anyway.
Small wave as well, so Nako feels pretty confident. Doesn't end up burning that ulti. Broken Blade tries to shove out the wave, but it's just Scuttle part 2 here for Skewmond down on the bottom side as he fast approaches level 6. And note that Lyncas is doing the same. That Raptor respawn is now taken by Lyncas as he continues being a threat up in this top side of the map. Labrov just sees him. Tree versus Cow, and honestly, I think the Cow's going to lose. Tree follows up, and Lyncas, no Bramble smash, but Labrov has to get out of there.
Into the enemy jungle, getting a bit of vision down. The sapling will spot out Skewmond. The red buff is the point of contention, but Jhin is bot lane. They have swapped away, and I think this is a hard contest as Hilly sets his sights on mid.
Well, this could be a really good dive. Caps flash on. No, Shattering Strike misses. Oh, no. That's rough to watch while Lyncas is still fighting over this red.
Here's Labrov doing what he can to buy time for his jungler. Skewmond about to take over to level 6. Lyncas has to evacuate the dance floor.
I'm ready. Flash for flash.
Yep.
Good one from Labrov.
I mean, Hylissang had level 6 as well. The chain CC was about to come through. Lyncas had overstayed his welcome, and the dive didn't work out in the mid lane. Plate is going to be secured. Cap's going to be healthy enough to be able to catch this wave, though. Nice idea there from Hilly. Unfortunately, the execution didn't quite come through.
We knew as much as the dancer, Betty, as Carzzy hits level 6. Pickaxe picked on the last back, by the way, and I'm looking at Czajek, who's just backed as well. Phage in hand with Tear stacking up. Nako's now in a different lane. He's up here against Hylissang. Definitely not where he wants to be.
Well, I'm surprised that G2 chose not to swap back. I guess they want to keep Hans on the top side of the map ready for the next scrubs, but they are, of course, still 2 minutes away. He's not really susceptible to any ganks for the time being. He has the ward in the river. And Labrov is already roaming out on the map. The bot side of the map needs to be cleared, though, from the side of Lyncas, which means that this bot lane is going to be very safe. Broken Blade wisely looking to go back to base as we wait for the next neutral objective to spawn. Keeping my eyes on the supports and what they're up to. Hylissang just staying with Carzzy for now, wanting to get that XP. The sooner he's level 6, the better. If he's able to secure it ahead of the next scrub fight, that's an opportunity where he can have an advantage over Labrov, who right now is just bleeding that XP away.
Now, Betty, you think we're going to get this one? Wait for it.
No, no, we are not.
Where is that guy?
He's in your solo queue games.
Appears in high action games. We've had high action games. Where is he?
This definitely is not a high action game.
No, it's
We're
not.
at 0-0.
That's why I thought the perfect time to bring it out, just in case, you know? We can never
This is
be
what
too
we
prepared.
won't see in this game. Yeah. Do you see him in the LPL?
No, we've seen him once.
Oh.
And it's been more than a kill a minute. So remember, it takes into account damage, and in the last patch, in this second patch of Season 25, they've also made it so that that Ruinous, it takes a little bit more, I'm pretty sure.
Well, the patch notes said that we should expect to see Ruinous a little more in our pro games.
But the notes itself went against that.
Well,
unless I can't read.
That was my understanding too, which is why I chose not to question it.
And you can read, so people can trust you at home.
Let's not jump to conclusions.
Okay, you cannot read. Okay, fair enough.
Ooh, Caps.
He's okay, right?
I mean, he won't die, but he is a little upset that he's going to lose a wave. Admittedly, though, he is Caps, and he does have this tendency to stick around. But Hansama, yeah, see what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like, Hans is like, it's okay, I can catch this wave. And Caps is like, question mark?
What's the stacks, Fetty?
But Labrov here to provide that safety, and he shouldn't be at any risk of a dive. Bit of a deep ward there coming out from Hilly as he paths towards the top side. Carzzy rotated once more towards the top side of the map, constantly in motion with his jungler, constantly with that protection as well. Now the grubs have begun.
Let's get a kill in, I reckon. That would be nice as Nako now positions. 4 grubs. You talk about Hilly's angle, but it's going to be spotted out on a control ward. G2 want at least one of these grubs to stop these feet from stacking up, and Poke comes in, and Skewmond, no, he doesn't steal that one. So looking for all 6 as Lyncas now just has to sit on the edge. He doesn't have a smite available for another 10 seconds. G2 are going to walk in and force this one and at least take one away. So no 6 grub game, but Vitality still should be happy with how that early game played out.
Oh, certainly. Securing 5 grubs is a great place to be in. Broken Blade knows that he cannot afford to overstay his welcome, given that Lyncas is on the top side of the map. Meanwhile, Czajek in all of this has just continued to push in the bot lane. Caps is doing a great job in the farm department. The gold advantage for Czajek is largely coming from the plates that he's been securing in the early game. He did secure another one in the bot lane matchup.
It's Carzzy versus the Jhin.
Yeah, Jhin is not the best at killing Carzzy. I mean, this early on, he should do decent damage at least.
Yep.
50% of his bar gone.
That's nice.
Broken Blade's going to try and interrupt it. I mean, they're being forced to stick around when they'd love to recall. This now leaves open a Dragon. The pings are already furiously coming down for G2.
Furiously.
Knowing that this objective is available, Hilly gets the quick recall off. He wants to regroup with his team. Czajek tries to get a trade onto Caps, but this time around, Caps fights back.
He does put out the ulti. Czajek has run out of his own kind of dance floor ulti, and with the flap over the wall, he's dead! First blood, even Labrov can't steal that. That was a solo kill in the end.
For the entirety of the laning phase, Czajek has been bullying out Caps, but suddenly Caps reaches a point where he can fight him back. And because of the positioning of Labrov, Czajek had nowhere to go. That's a solo kill for Caps to start off the first kill of this game.
It is the first kill finally coming through, and it is also going to be the second Dragon layered on top. Nako wants a piece of this, though, and Lyncas as well with Nature Scraps is what we're waiting for, but Smite comes in, G2 are running up. Teleport coming in late from Vitality. That's the Corki, and as he flies through, Vitality now down to someone 2 as Hilly is spotted over the wall. Skewmond wants this Chains of Corruption a little bit short from Hansama. Otherwise, Hilly was in a bit of trouble.
TP just there to go and catch the bot wave to keep the pressure up. Caps TPing back to lane himself now with the Essence Reaver. Let's pick up for him, but that scaling element from G2 is always something you have to keep in the back of your mind. We saw it earlier today from Heretics. You go long enough and, I mean, this champion doesn't lose.
True. It's still the same old, isn't it?
It's the one champ that in solo queue you can always say, don't worry guys, we've got the late game.
We scale!
Yep, we scale.
Sorry, that was a Smolder voice.
impeccable.
Is Smolder related to Shyvana at all? Is that the Laure?
Please, let's not have this conversation again.
Did we have it last time?
You actually asked me this before.
But I never got an answer. So
then somehow you turned it into, and how's Ezreal connected? Like that's. And at that point, I said, all right, let's get.
I forgot I put him into that. It's like Lilia. It's like Nico and Hecarim, and then Lilia. You know?
What?
They're all part of the family, I thought.
I don't know, and I refuse to elaborate further. I'm going to look back at the minimap and see what's going on.
Sure. Anything? Nah.
The Andre's completed for both junglers.
Super cool.
This is my job, Jake, okay?
Yeah, it is. You can't tell me.
I have to also accommodate for the people who aren't watching.
You can't tell me you haven't thought about the Easter eggs in League of Legends, Vedius.
There are some people that are just listening, so I have to state the obvious sometimes, okay? Yeah. It's important. Now.
What is it?
First item's completed, except for Czajek. He's still waiting to secure that Trinity Force.
Good job. Labrov, even better.
Nice engage.
Especially with the brand. Almost at what I would call setup perfect. Hilly gets poked out. Remember, Youmu's on the Varus this game for Hans' mama. Where did that come from? Is it just an abbreviation of his name, or is it...
Hans?
No, Hans' mama. Where did that come from? It's a meme. It's on a sign in the audience. It's been said many times.
They see Hans as a motherly figure? I don't know.
Do you get that?
Hey, I'm not here to judge, okay?
It's not about judgment. It's just where do you see it that way?
Herald spawning in about a minute's time. Reset's going to be coming through from Labrov so that he can replenish his vision. My apologies. BF Sword going to be picked up by Caps as well. As Czajek's still on the bot side of the map. He doesn't have his TP available. I wonder if he wants to just push this out. Wonder if Vitality feels strong enough to force this fight. I feel like they should. First item spike for this composition feels very powerful to me.
True.
But they have the option of just trading the objective. I say that G2 is actually matching them on the bot side of the map. They're not investing their vision towards the Herald.
Oh, Lyncas
is in a dangerous spot.
He's going to walk into this change and he flushes it! Lyncas, that was so smooth, but Skewmond still finds him in the end. Hilly's trying to help out with the Magnet Storm down. Labrov's taking down enemy jungler. Skewmond is getting hit by a pointy end of the stick. Carzzy makes short work of that. Over the wall, Labrov goes for a second try. Now Caps joining the fight with the poke range from the Varus. Tries to do a little bit more, but Czajek gets him away, zones him through, and Caps now has to deal with a 1v3 despite those health bars going astray.
It ends up being a favorable play for Vitality after Lyncas makes the split-second decision to go in rather than go out. You highlighted Hysterics. Look at the play here from Lyncas. He's going to flash over the engage, look for the brand. I wonder if his target there was Handsama, but the idea is the same. Hilly quick to follow up, something you can always trust him to do. Keeping Skewmond locked down on the backline. Carzzy flashes in to secure that kill. A nice flash over the wall. And I think here Labrov just went in too deep. It's very difficult for Hans to really follow up. He does have the Q to add a bit of extra damage, but Caps too afraid to step up with the carries of Vitality still ever present. Now the kill score equalized at 2-2.
And great fight to benefit for Carzzy as well. He already had Collect. He's now got a Noon Quiver in his back pocket. So this Jhin, he's going to be hitting a little bit harder than you'd expect here. 750 gold lead over Hansama as well. When he's also a big part of that setup, big part of the zone control rather for Vitality. It feels like they're in a pretty good spot. And you said it before that fight. Vitality seemed like on one items that their comp should start coming alive here. It is nice to see their reaction. It is nice to see the Vitality can show their strength here in this opening game rather.
Herald seems to have been conceded. It doesn't surprise me that G2 set their sights on the Dragon. I mean, if you think about what a Herald is going to give you, maybe you lose the mid tower, maybe you get a bit of damage on the second tower. In exchange, you put yourself on Soul Point with the Infernal Soul. In combination with Brands, that can do some serious damage. And so G2 setting their sights on it. They will secure the Scuttle Crab. Reset going to come through from Caps. Curious how much gold he's sitting on with the TP available. The Dragon is now alive. Vitality take their turn to enter into the bot side river. They can't do anything about the Scuttle Crab. They also can't do anything about that ward that's sitting in the bot Tri-Brush. This objective going to be started off by Vitality. I will say I'm a little surprised. I guess G2 choosing not to try and fight them right now. Turn their attention to the cross map.
Nice. Nako gets rid of the wave, the power of the equalizer. Caps is here with Labrov. They're going to turn this into a dive regardless. Labrov pops the ulti, flash away from Nako while Caps just looks to stack up and take the kill. Labrov in the end, good turrets. The balancing act between him and Broken Blade works out fine. That's going to also lead into the Herald.
I mean, Vitality secured the Dragon, slowing down the stacking from G2, but G2 quickly respond with a cross map. The problem with investing your resources into the dive, though, is it means that you spent a lot of time and resources to secure that kill.
True.
You're not going to get that top tower, you're going to be bullied off the Herald, and you're going to lose the bot tier 1 tower as well. I believe this will be Vitality's 3rd objective too, so that should secure the feats of strength, meaning that Vitality find themselves with a small but an advantage here in this early game against G2.
A decent one to boot. And as well, their ability to open up turrets, as you're saying. Vitality, there's more gold on the table. That mid turret is one Rift Herald charge away too.
Now, one of the advantages of the feats of strength that so many pros have commented on are the Swifty boots.
Yeah.
And a champion in particular that is no happier than anyone else is the man on your screen right now, Jhin.
Eurobeat.
Once he upgrades those boots, he is the fast.
Yeah. He's got the gas.
So I'm going to be excited to see him play out as we see Nako the target of G2's aggression once more.
That's a good damage. Equalizer as well buys time. I mean, Skewmond's damage needs to hit. It does connect, get the stunned out. There's a blaze, but Skewmond's dead. It's a trade, and for Nako, it just depends what happens in the top side here as Czajek's in a little bit of trouble. Caps is using Labrov, but he still gets the kill. However, Lyncas got the root down. Smolder ulti calls in Mummy, but she only does a little bit of healing before Caps still has to flap away. But Labrov, the disengage, it's been clean. Hilly has the Magnet Storm, but it's only Lyncas with the damage. They're trying to buy time for that ult to wear off and Carzzy to come in. Bullet time is out, and rather a curtain call that Carzzy calls his own. He gets another kill, but Labrov played teamfight, or at least keep off Caps game so damn well.
So plays happening across the board. It's G2 that are the aggressors. They're the ones that set up the dive on the bot lane. They're also the ones that found Labrov an angle to sneak his way into the top brushes and get a collapse onto Czajek, converting into another kill. Vitality is able to respond, and it ends up being an exchange of towers. Atakan entering the Rift. We look back at this exchange, and Nako has been the subject of G2's pressure throughout this game. He throws down a good equalizer that Skewmond walks on top of, but then once Broken Blade ulties out, the tower aggro swaps over to Skewmond, meaning that Nako can turn it into a 1-for-1. Meanwhile, on the top side of the map, Labrov found an engage, which they almost got away with if it weren't for that meddling Carzzy, finding a cheeky pick to shut down Labrov. And well, I say equalize, bring the kill score to 4-5. 35 kills apiece, 35k gold apiece.
Oh yeah. Not a lead of any kind. Side note, again, we got Lord Dominic's Regard returning into the Rift. More commonly actually seen now as well, and you know, I was to say globally, that extra 10%, or rather 5% armor pen for 100 gold that's come in, players are really liking picking it up again. So ever since they had that Giant Slayer passive removed, it looks like we're finally coming back to the item. And seeing it here second here for Carzzy means
I do feel as though many life lessons were learned after a certain AD carry went against a certain Carzzy at a certain international event.
Shall we?
Nope.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's incredibly valuable against Carzzy. He's someone that always builds these defenses, and we've already talked about it. Jhin, he's a champ that has 4 bullets. So he's traditionally not the best at taking out tanks.
Imagine having to reload in 2025.
Exactly. So we'll see if he can tread through Broken Blade, who is going to be problematic later on into the game. But the real problem is going to be Caps, who's now completed his Infinity Edge. There were some changes to the way that crit scales with Smolder now, so that he actually gains value from the Infinity Edge. And
Hans, he's isolated. Czajek's with him as well. He flashes away. He's poked out. And now with his flash down, opportunity for Vitality. The AD carry of G2 has just been hit hard.
Yeah, a positioning mistake there from Hansama that's well punished by Czajek and Carzzy. They utilize their range very effectively to force him away. He loses his flash. He's going to be forced to base Dragon. I think he's going to make it back in time, but in a much scarier position with that ultimate unavailable.
Youmuu's is still on cooldown as well. I'll be watching that one for everyone at home, just to see when he can start sprinting it down here with the rest of G2. They group up as 4. Hans is now here. He's got that available. Nako's joined in. We are once again going to fight around mid lane. Surprise, surprise. We like our ARAMs.
I think G2 wisely recognize they can't really contest the Dragon from this position, so they set their sights on the mid control. They keep the wave going towards this tower. Nako has the ultimate available, and he's going to throw it down to thin out the wave.
Equalizer's close, and it does actually get the wave off, and G2 with it too. Lyncas is coming in with the Nature's Grasp available, and a broken up G2. They're not all together as Labrov and Skewmond hit the right side, but now that they group back up, Vitality think otherwise about getting themselves in. They've already taken the Dragon, nothing else here apart from the wave, and Vitality are just disengaging for now.
Vitality forced to back off. They realized that forcing this fight wouldn't necessarily result in a huge amount. Maybe the Atakan, but G2 losing HP slowly over time. The poke damage coming through. Camp's trying to respond with poke of his own. But all right, nothing too crazy happening.
It looked like Vitality wanted to continue fighting there. Again, trying to push themselves forward. Feeling confident, maybe with the curtain call, maybe with that Nature's Grasp still available. Equalizer almost up, by the way, 20 seconds. I believe, until that's back on your screen for the almost level 16 Rumble. We wait for this Baron that spawns in 45 seconds.
I mean, waves need to be caught right now. So a little too much time has just been spent hovering around mid lane with nothing on the map to play for.
Yep.
Atakan is being started.
Apart from that, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, there is that.
And G2 are not here.
They're not.
Who cares about Atakan, I guess? Didn't they say they were like scrimming or Vedius, what did you show me?
Memento did tweet that they cancelled all their scrims and they spent a lot of time in practice tour playing around Atakan.
So what was that?
Next question.
Okay.
That was an Atakan secured by Vitality in what I felt was an overstay from both sides. I thought the Vitality would look to reset themselves, but it's so easy to forget how quickly Atakan can die.
True.
And G2 had fully reset. They wanted to go and catch top wave. They needed to catch the wave. Well, bot was in a bit of an awkward spot, but resets ultimately just came through and they weren't in a position to contest. So now with this GA, Vitality can force a fight.
Yep.
And they have a lot of tools to do it. We talked about it in the draft. They love to play around objectives. They have so much zone control, wombo combo potential. And I'm hoping we get to see it in action.
And note as well, because Lyncas got a bit of AP as Carzzy might be caught out. But remember, it's a GA. He's going to withdraw. G2 find themselves in front of a Baron as Lyncas is going to die as well. Vitality just lost 2 of their GAs, and they'll just go back to base.
But I think that's just a mistake from Vitality.
I think it is.
Carzzy just goes mid, dies. They also lost the Maokai. They didn't have to spend any ultimates. I guess the advantage gained is Caps and Broken Blade used their ultis, but you've handed over 400 gold, and you haven't really put pressure anywhere on the map. Now they're pushing out top wave as Broken Blade pushes out bots. I felt like Vitality just missed a big window there to utilize this Atakan. Of course, 3 members still have it. We'll see if they can get anything off the back of it as they set their sights on the Baron.
They're finally going to start it. I mean, this is what a lot of Atakans use for the turnaround Baron, and especially when they're shredding this Baron, thanks to the fact that they've got so much on-hit damage. Nako zones out, now goes over, going to use his Bloodletter's Curse to start shredding MR Baron as Equalizer's good, Nature's Grasp as well. They get themselves out, Vitality with the Baron. They're turning to the fight, but what is going on? Over the wall, Hylissang and Czajek are going to fight it out. It's a trade, but only a withdrawal. G2 looking for more. Carzzy in a bush, flash on, Broken Blade misses, and Caps plays around him, sits in the way. Carzzy almost getting him. But the flash out in the end is a shutdown. Broken Blade now in the middle of it all, and they're going to keep fighting. Skewmond's got good damage, but Czajek is such a monster right now. He pulls out a big one. He Valkyries, he Phosphoruses, and Vitality's mid laner almost cleans up the jungle. The burn is immense, but don't forget, the Baron is theirs.
A much better utilization of the Atakan buff to secure the Baron and then turn it into a winning team fight. Look at the setup here. Nako and Hylissang zoning away the jungle support combo of G2 from approaching the Baron. The Equalizer comes down, making it impossible for Skewmond to move. He gets rooted on the Equalizer as well. And then Hilly just acting as guardsman, knowing that he has the Atakan buff. Same for Czajek. They throw their lives into the meat grinder to be able to get something back, and then Carzzy recognizes that he is out of position, commits the flash to try and get this kill onto Caps, and he was very close. Gets the flash out from Caps in exchange, but he ends up losing his life.
He does indeed. A bit of gold over, but at the end of the day, remember that Baron is still there, but fighting around the third dragon is next up on the menu in 20 seconds. Red Bull Baron power play. Let's see who it's on. 4 members in total. Carzzy the only one who's dropped it. As remembering that the withdrawal does not take away the Baron buff, so An important distinction there. Broken Blade jumps in. He's now in a choke. Deadly Flourish, not going to get him. He's unstoppable. Rooted out after the fact, though, as he jumps back to his team. A curtain call now begins with Carzzy looking to end the show, but Summer has stepped away backstage, while G2 now look to regroup and see what happens in the second act.
I feel like Vitality should just set their sights on the mid lane tower. G2 is forced into this awkward spot where the bot wave is knocking onto the tier 2 tower. The mid wave is stacked up. The Baron buff is available as well. G2 is now going to get funneled back up because they know if they stay in the river, they're going to lose the tier 2 as well. And this gives Vitality access back into the river. Wise choice there from Vitality to unlock their third dragon of the game.
Hilly just spots him out as well. He does a bit of information gathering, and after he does, he enables Vitality to get this third dragon. They're on soul point now. And again, I mean, G2 are being spun around the map a little bit, and Vitality, that fight in topside ends out so well.
I mean, we talked about the limitations of their draft, which is that how do you actually force a fight on your terms, right?
Point.
You need to find a flank from Broken Blade, but a lot of your engages rely on Summer landing an ultimate or Labrov finding an engage.
Yep.
And Vitality have so much range.
Like this.
Ooh.
I mean, this sets it up, but Lyncas gets a Bramble Smash. Broken Blade ulties out so that he can get some range himself, but Labrov is a new target. Nate just grabs Equalizer in a choke. You'd say it's good, but Skewmond takes no damage. Deadly Flourish after the fact, and Carzzy picks up a kill on the back burner. Caps is now here, though, and if he stays in the fight long enough, with that execute and 3-item Smolder, he will start hurting.
I mean, this is going to alleviate some of the pressure that's being put onto G2 by Vitality right now, but ultimately it ends up just being a 1-for-1 trade. Summoners were really expended off the back of that, and it's, I mean, Caps did end up using his TP, which could prove significant later on into the game. But ultimately, it's watching the LCK and listening to other pundits within the scene. Range definitely seems to be the name of the game right now, and it's why we're seeing Ezreal have so much presence and priority in the current meta. I think that this poke Varus is another reason for it, and just CC and poke is very difficult to manage because it feels as though there's not enough hard engage in the current game right now. And like Rell is definitely a form of it, and it's a way to start these fights off. But you look at this Vitality composition, if G2 ever tried to force Maokai ultimate, you can disengage with the Corki W, you can throw the Equalizer down. If Jhin just backs off and then uses the curtain call, you're now walking into the curtain call. You've also got his Deadly Flourish to root you up. Like, it's so obnoxious for G2, so their conditions for actually finding a fight are incredibly difficult, and as long as Vitality play it patiently, then they can just steadily take more and more control over the map.
So you want to see clean setup then, because for G2 right now, I mean, they're getting pulled and stretched thin across the map right now. Their commitment is the Caps in this bot side with Demolish available. He's going to stick it out after the Equalizer clears the wave, so he gets 700 gold for himself. But you look at top, the wave gets pushed in, and Czajek wants to do the same. However, G2 with smart rotation this time around managed to get there first and stop an equal trade for Vitality.
I mean, the best case scenario for G2 is Caps is incredibly strong right now. You can see over his portrait that he's sitting at 344 stacks. He's building them up rapidly.
He is chovying a bit, isn't he?
Yes, he is 352 CS at 31.5 minutes into the game. He is a very scary Smolder, and as we talked about, they've always got the late game. And the thing about these neutral objectives is while they can be difficult to approach, it's still a scary place to fight a Smolder. So that's what G2 is waiting for right now, the Baron to respawn, the Dragon Soul to be up on the map. It's the best situation for G2 to find the engagement they're looking for to really allow Caps to pop off.
Waiting with that BT, waiting for him to join G2. 4 items Smolder. Looking at a Varus with 3, maybe not as relevant. Looking at Broken Blade, who has a Warden's Mail in his inventory, plus a Jack Show. So longer he stays in the fight, the more he's going to do and start siphoning off as G2 keep looking for this fight. Vitality just spaced away. It was something you talked about before. All their layering of CC, the range that they have. They know they don't need to run straight into G2, yet G2 to run into them.
Baron has spawned, and it's G2 that have access to the river. Their wave clear on Smolder is enough to give them control over the wave. They're denying vision from Vitality observers. If you can show us what Vitality see on the map right now, they're doing their best to keep what vision they can. They do have that deep ward around the red buff, but the river itself has gone totally dark. G2 continuing to spread their control further. And it's crucial to recognize, even though Vitality have found a lot of great plays, the gold is still in G2's favor.
Hylissang watching on the right side as G2 walked to the left. The support of Vitality was aiming for some kind of angle. Now spots out that, okay, G2 are in front of the Baron. It's actually been started. With a brand, it goes down quick.
They're melting
Vitality
this.
are waiting, but they're waiting maybe too long. Nako hasn't put the ulti down. It's blind. They see nothing. And in the end, Vitality get nothing.
Great patient play there from G2. Just well controlled. The pressure in mid converted into complete vision denial. Vitality were hesitant themselves to face check the Smolder. And it resulted in an easy objective secured. Now the Soul, 15 seconds. G2 looking to try and gain purchase over the river. Broken Blade should be the one to face check.
And he will. He jumps into Carzzy.
Does
and you can
no
see,
damage to him.
That's right. A Cassante into Jhin means nothing. Czajek will do a little bit more, though, with the true damages. Nature's Grass kicks us off. Lyncas already been poked out.
Ooh,
as you can see, Nako's ulti's big. He's running to Caps, but he's now overheating. So Caps is going to burn him instead. Fire beats fire as G2 with a numbers advantage now walk to deny Soul. 3K, 2K, they want to flip this one, but Soul goes over. A win for Vitality, but G2, remember, have this fight in the bag. They just need to chase and chase and chase and chase. And Caps can do that as the flap stops short of the wall. So Carzzy runs out and the chase begets nothing.
I mean, this was the scaling that G2 could always rely on towards the end game. And an ambitious play from Nako as he saw Caps rooted up with a equalizer dropped on top of his head. He thought that he would have enough damage, but Caps able to flash away, and then it's just a matter of time as Vitality is forced to retreat. Their base is going to start to fall apart. The death timers are still 10 seconds. G2 can't get much more than an inhibitor. They will be forced to disengage. But now it begs the question of, even if Vitality have stronger engage, can they even win the fights anymore? Because Caps just feels so monstrously powerful, the scaling is just fully online.
And now he's got a Seekers as well, so it becomes that much harder as G2, we watch again, as you said, Caps got rooted here.
I love the idea from Nako. You can see how much damage he's throwing out, but Caps is able to flash away to safety, getting a lot of value from those Merc Treads. And while he does lose his flash, it ends up just being a race for the Dragon Soul. Nice smite comes through from Lyncas to secure the Soul.
Fighting again, Hilly, flash-shattering strike, but he's now crushed down in the middle of enemy territory. Hans pokes him, and doesn't just poke him, but pierces him in half. At half HP, he runs, and Hilly, by the way, deathless today so far. Even though he burns the Summoner, I've got to give props where props is due. He has had a good day, but he doesn't find what he's looking for in that specific play.
He certainly has. Unfortunately, it just isn't enough, because while I think they've done a great job of controlling the game, remember that they were the one that secured the Atakan, they converted into a good Baron. Vitality were in control, but G2 always had the, well, we've got the late game. We can scale. And the reality is that Vitality never won fights significantly enough.
Lyncas, flash away from Chains of Corruption.
He's going to be forced to flash away there, as the top tower is now the target of G2's wrath. But I think the equalizer could come down to try and thin out the wave, as we've seen so many times from Nako.
Yep, and there it is.
But yeah, ultimately, like, the thing that I guess I didn't talk enough about was that the game was largely even though Vitality was getting a lot of these advantages, and it was because Caps was just permanently sitting in silence. 407 CS, 36 minutes in.
He's Kapoving, you know?
He's nearly at 400 stacks now on the Smolder. And even if Vitality do find a good fight, unless you one-shot Caps, it's going to be a difficult fight to win.
G2 have 5 members in front of the turret, and Vitality pay respect in this case. Mid inhibitor down as well causes some problems as Hilly, Hexflash just back into his own base, and Minion Wave getting thinned out, but the equalizer still not back up and available. 10 seconds until that one comes in, and now another inhibitor exposed. G2 have their front line in healthy stances. You can see behind, Lyncas is ready to Nature's Grass this and get an angle, but Labrov spots him as he puts down the roots. G2 marching away, blocked by the tanks. Labrov sets up the fence line, and the equalizer sets up the streamline. A good shattering strike as Hilly breaks down Broken Blade, but the Magnet Storm won't be enough. He won't be enough. He charges forward. Lyncas tried to do the same, but again and again, Hans Summer is in the way.
You can see the long-range damage from Vitality's composition and how lethal it could be. But against the front line of Cassante, the locket usage to mitigate a lot of the damage, the redemption earlier on, And just the fact that you're fighting into the Smolder makes it too difficult for Vitality to convert it into anything else. Broken Blade, good positioning from him to tank up the ulti from the Jhin. Labrov there has the ulti as well. He trades aggro, and now they're both just tanking up as much as they can, providing space for Caps and Hans. And then you see a bit of an overstep from Lyncas. The ultimate from Varus connects, and he just gets destroyed.
Two-shot. Hans Summer.
The scaling has happened.
Yeah. And the range that we thought would mainly come out of Vitality is starting to show from G2's head as well. 6.5k gold lead. As you said, scaling is the easiest way to put it through that mid lane especially. And Vitality now losing through bot as well. It's the one inhibitor left standing. One inhibitor turret left in the game as well.
I will say that I don't think this Lord Dominic's regards is enough to break through Broken Blade.
But to be fair, is anything?
Yeah.
K'Sante.
Jhin is not doing it.
Why are we getting K'Sante early rotation in draft? I think we have an answer. If you didn't have one before, I would have been surprised, but now please remember this lesson.
I mean, I'm more surprised by the Jhin response. I mean, I guess it makes a lot of sense in the context of the comp, but against this front line, it cannot get through. Good damage coming out from Czajek.
Okay, options here. Minion wave is cleared out. Curtain call. This is the turn. Vitality, great equalizer. Nako has laid down the territory, and the curtain call has now flown. G2 are a little bit low, and there is good damage done, but is it enough to dissuade them as their base is just in tatters? Nexus turret getting battered and bruised by these supers, while G2 are setting up for Baron for the next dragon. They can take their pick because the map is still theirs.
G2 should just let the minions do their work, continue to put pressure onto Vitality's base while they set up around the Baron. It's going to be very difficult for Vitality to approach. If they could, this Equalizer combo can prove devastating in the face of Baron. But remember that those are still on cooldown right now, and G2 isn't going to hesitate. They're going to start this objective off, and it's very difficult for Vitality to contest.
They're like, well, we just go down to Elder, 15 seconds, but this Baron's going to be dead before Elder even spawns at this rate. Hilly spots him out, good ward down, but even as Nako clears out mid-wave, there it is. Baron secured, locked in. 5 seconds till the Elder. Vitality want to pick before the Dragon. But again, remember, G2 can end the game. Teleport going to be used in mid all the way to this right side. Banana Brush. And Czajek, now that he's here, really wants to fight to bring this game back.
G2 fighting to get access into the river. They should have control over the mid-wave. With those Baron-empowered minions, it's scary, but Czajek is going to be the one to start off the Elder. This could be a turning point for Vitality.
The Vitality need to do this
quick.
quick.
Look at Labrov's HP.
It is low, but here comes Redemption. Healing up is Omega as G2 is still trying to use that poke.
Carzzy's in such an awkward spot.
Fourth shot. Labrov goes in anyway. The fourth shot negated, and it will be a trade. Elder's still there. Turns into a bit of flip till Broken Blade shows up, and Mum lines the scene. He's poked out. Equalizer pokes back, and Skewmond gets zoned out as Nako hits him in the face. Elder for Vitality. It's theirs. There was no jungle contest because Nako decided to burn the house down. The minions, yes, they're going into the base, but Vitality will be able to defend.
Caps is still alive, but the rest of G2 have fallen. He wisely pushes in the bot wave to make it harder for Vitality to find an endgame avenue, but they still have 4 members alive. The mid inhibitor has respawned, and Vitality are able to navigate their way through the fight. And I wonder if that's, 30 seconds. I think it's tight. I don't know if they can end off the back of that, especially with Cap still alive. Its wave clear is going to be too much, I feel. But let's look back at this fight. Labrov getting chunked so massively at the start is huge, but Broken Blade, being the behemoth that he is, zones 3 off alone. Labrov goes to the flash engage, and Carzzy dies. This is crucial, as they lose one of their major carries. But then it becomes a 50-50 smite. They can't keep Lyncas out of the pit. A nice equalizer onto Skewmond, zones him away from the objective. Nako gets the kill, and then the smite is gone. Nako has received so much pressure from G2 in this game, and he makes a hero play at the end.
He gets a lot of praises. Hilly's caught out. We went from
his first death of the game
to hero. And yeah, Hilly.
Look at bot though. Caps is top lane. Caps is top lane. The wave clear is away, which means that Czajek is able to get a tier 2. So many long games this split, Hysterics. Yeah. We're nearly 45 minutes in. We're likely going to get another major objective. As Vitality, with the Elder still available, are looking for a fight.
They really want one. The deep dive under turret. Nature's Grasp hits again. Labrov, his ulti's not available. The curtain call and flies. The show's over for Labrov. 50 seconds on the cow. Wait, Nako's dead.
Yeah, Nako ends up falling in the top lane. That's a 60-second death timer.
What is happening?
They're able to catch him. Pandemonium is what's happening on the Rift right now. 12 to 13 is the kill score. Another tower falls in favor of Vitality, but Caps is still a Titan.
Yes.
Full build, 472 stacks. This Smolder, I mean, I guess Caps wasn't that present in the previous fight. I feel as though he wasn't just melting through this Vitality roster, which is kind of what we expected to happen. I was so enamored by Nako finding that play on a Skewmond that I wasn't even keeping track of Caps, who has now found himself 2 additional kills, one onto Hilly and another onto Nako. It looks like that death timer isn't going to be punished as we wait nearly 2 minutes, well, over 2 minutes, I should say, for the Baron to spawn. Full atomization is going to be coming through from nearly everyone on the Rift outside of the supports. But wow, what an intense affair. I feel like G2 is still favored, just because of the Smolder.
Okay.
But we have seen around these neutral objectives exactly what we talked about in the draft. Just the composition as a whole for Vitality is a tough one to fight into.
Arrange the setup, and especially that player in the top lane. I mean, Nako, imagine if his chair was tilted, how much extra damage he'd be doing. He's got Bloodletter's Curse, by the way, the new item in the game. Amplifies a lot of AP. Oh, let's remember, removes magic resist, is my meaning. So it's going to help with the Maokai. It's important right now because the third inhibitor is going to drop, and as you said, G2 is still strong. G2 is still favored. G2 have now got 2 Nexus turrets again, as they, excuse me, Vitality on play on the defense. It's a second inhibitor now threatened out as Vitality have half a health bar on it, but it's still going to lose its next inhibitor. Nature's Grasp is flying across. Broken Blade will help zone out, and he makes sure that no one gets hit.
G2 relenting with their siege. They know there's nothing really to play for. Why not set up for the third inhibitor? Vitality still so hesitant to force a fight. They're trying to chip away, leverage that range that they have to chunk at the HP bars of G2, and it looks like they're going for the combo again.
They're trying. I mean, they are whittling them down. Broken Blade and Labrov, the front lines are getting destroyed. Mum with a bit of healing helps out, so that's good, but BB's at half HP. He has to TP back in.
It's such an entertaining game. You're really seeing the...
Cleanse. Hans Summer now no cleanse. Teleport back in from Broken Blade, but Hans is so low.
I mean, I asked the question earlier, what was the idea behind the Jhin, and you just continue to see the effectiveness of it, this long-range pick potential, the synergy with the Rumble ultimate, providing that slow on the ulti to even keep targets inside the red carpet. It's so effective if given the space to do it. And G2, they just have to kind of run away.
Yeah.
And they're doing a good job of disengaging from those. Labrov and Broken Blade, really the front line that you need in a situation like that. But it goes to show how terrifying this composition is, and it's a debate of, can Caps carry, or will the comp carry? Coming through from Vitality as Baron returns to the Rift for, I believe, the 4th time this game?
Something
I've lost
like
track.
that. Yeah, I'm not with it. Elder's coming in 50 seconds as well, so if they delay enough, we could be tying this in 45. Top right, look at it here as we get the setup from G2.
Downs once again around mid lane. Look at bot lane though. Someone has to go and get that. Nako does have the TP. He should be responsible. This is the advantage that G2 have, that the waves are constantly putting pressure onto the base of Vitality. The gold really doesn't matter anymore.
They're walking into Hilly! Into the Magnet Storm, into the setup, and now the Nature's born, but he's dead. They don't get the damage onto Caps. Czajek tried to follow, Carzzy tried to follow, but they were blocked. It looks so good, but it feels so bad. Now with Broken Blade, taking him out, Vitality must be so damn mad as G2 find a way, find the road. It goes for 47 minutes, but even with Hilly setting it up perfectly, it'll come back to the start. The Smolder scaling we were promised, and G2 will pick up their second win. However valiantly, Vitality fought.
The idea from Hilly was so good, but the locket and the redemption from Labrov was able to tank so much. That all-in is not the way that you wanted to play that fight. G2 was able to turn it around. It was an impressive and very entertaining game from both sides, but it will be G2 that walks away with the victory.
You can vote for your key player of the game. at LEC on X. Caps, Han, Summer, or Broken Blade. Holy moly, I don't even know at that point because the game went on for so long. It was really close. And G2 still picking up their second win against Vitality. Got more hopes for Vitality after that one, but after the break, ladies and gentlemen, we will have Skewmond to join the analyst desk to talk about that game, and that's something I want to hear.
He doesn't like that. Look at him, he's a good boy, but he don't like that.
Maybe we could play some A rounds or something like that. I mean, this is map, right? New towers, new objectives.
Have a break. Have a Kit Kat.
Wait, is he switching lanes?
And welcome back to LEC after whatever just happened. But actually, we have the perfect guest to talk us through that banger game. Banger and a half, Skewmond. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Congrats on winning.
Thank you.
Do I even say congrats on winning? No, jokes. Like, I think it's really, really hard to focus on games like this, especially when they run for so long. So talk me through communication, especially in decisive moments, to just like stay afloat and grab the win in the end.
Yeah, well, surprisingly, compared to the first week where we actually threw a lot of attackants in the first two games, I think that we actually managed to have a proper communication. I think like the only time we actually messed up was probably on the first attackant. Like we didn't really talk about like if they could actually do it, but otherwise I think the game was actually pretty much in our control, and I'm pretty happy of like how we communicated. I think our game can be way better, of course, but still, I think it was pretty good communication.
Nymaera, I think it was Memento tweeting ahead of the game, don't worry, we cancelled all scrims. We did 8 hours a day practice of attackant. And do you see the improvement? But also, do you notice teams losing their minds around this objective?
I mean, we did a segment earlier in the day talking about some of the big changes that happened to Atakan. For me, obviously, look, we've all watched League of Legends for years now, and many of you at home might have watched even for a decade at this point. It's not Dragon Pit, it's not Baron Pit. You're not suddenly in just the Thunderdome where you have walls everywhere. How much does that... I'm really interested in a pro play and the communication standpoint, because it's not like fighting the objective at Dragon Pit and Baron Pit, which has been kind of the same for all of League history. How does that change the instincts going into a new objective fight?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good actually analysis, because I think that since it's, like you don't have actually proper walls and a proper place to fight. So it's really important in that case to actually control the bush. If like whatever side you are, and I think it makes you. It depends, like if you want to pull it as well, because like the damage from Atakan, it can actually be a good strategy to just pull it, and the Atakan goes crazy into enemy team. So
I hadn't realized that. That's so cool.
So I think like just controlling the bush is really important, pushing waves as well, and you actually need to have, I mean, really good vision. I think I know what I'm talking about, and make sure that enemy jungle doesn't steal it in front of you. But yeah.
Did you notice, by the way, in the Carmine Core Atakan steal, that the Atakan healed off of your clone while it happened? There's just so many random things which can happen in that fight. I have to say, I don't necessarily blame you in a high-pressure scenario with a new objective like that. Obviously, it feels like the whole league has a lot to adjust to when it comes to the new objective.
Of course.
Yeah.
Player of the game here was Caps. How has it been playing with Caps? I mean, I know you know the guy, you know his reputation, what he's able to do in game. But yeah, tell me about your experience playing with him so far.
I mean, it's absolutely amazing. Like, since I've joined the team and went to the gaming house, etc., I can just see why he's actually like the best player in Europe for so long. Like, he's such an amazing teammate outside and inside of the game. And yeah, I mean, to be honest, if it wasn't him on this game, I think we would have just lost it, to be honest. I think he played out of his mind. Even the game we lost last week, like the Akali game, he went like for 2-3 solo kills, if I can remember correctly.
A lot, yeah.
Like Caps is just him.
So obviously, Caps, ton of history. I'd like to talk a little about your history now as well, because weirdly it's connected to mine. Back in 2021, you played one of your first competitive splits back in the tier below NLC, UKLC. That was also one of my first splits ever casting as well. So it's really cool to see us obviously both here on the desk. I want to remind you back then, you were on Enclave. You still had a 100% ban rate on Nunu against you.
Oh, really?
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
I went back and checked. The stats are not there and easily to get. I had to go find every match history. 100% ban rate. If it's good enough for Inspired at World Semi-Finals to take Gen G to 5 games, why is it not good enough for you here in the LEC, huh?
Oh my god! Like I really hope that maybe Nunu will get a buff.
Yeah.
And I think that if there is one tiny chance to pick it, I'm gonna pick it.
Of course. And I mean, who better than G2 to let players experiment? But yeah, hopefully we can see your Nunu a bit later, Skewmond. I want us to look at the picture behind you because last year you ended the season beautifully.
Yeah.
I want to say, I don't think it was a surprise for anyone that you joined the LEC this year. From this moment, you lifted the EMEA Masters Trophy to joining one of the most successful organizations we have in Europe. How does it feel? How does it feel and the improvement, and how have you been adjusting to everything? Tell me about it.
I mean, so far it's, I mean, even though like the results are not really insane so far, I'm really proud of and really grateful of being a player in G2. Like if you would ask me like where you would have been like back then in Enclave as well, you would tell me that you would be playing for G2, playing with Caps. I would not believe you, to be honest. And like right now, everything is going pretty decently behind the scenes. I think we're improving slowly and surely. So yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward for our next games, and I really hope that me individually can show a better performance, because I don't think that I've really shown what I'm able to do. So yeah, I really hope that I will show better games tomorrow and for the next games.
You're about to taste your very first Fnatic G2 rivalry tomorrow. How are you getting ready for this one?
I'm absolutely hyped. I think Fnatic is definitely one of the top teams right now. I think they have a lot of good players individually. Like they have really big names, not gonna lie. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to also play against Razork. I have a lot of respect for him. I think he's a like top jungler for like so long, like even maybe like 3 years. And I think it's going to be a big challenge for me and a big chance to actually prove myself and hopefully, win the game.
Let's make it count. Looking forward to seeing this one. Skewmond, merci beaucoup. Thank you so much. Surrounded by French people. I'm so sorry, Nymaera. We're going to end things here. Coming up, the last game of the day. Carmine Corp versus SK Gaming. We'll hit the rift right after the break. Bye-bye.